Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Verdict's In. I'm your host, Nicole.
I'm Gary.
And today we're talking about The Watchmen, Season 1, or the only season, Episode 9, which is also the series finale. Gary, what are your thoughts?
Just speaking for myself, and I'll speak for everybody. This was a great season.
A great show, great
Everyone
season.
loved it. We have spoken to said they love it. I mean, it's so much information in here. It's not only entertainment, but it's giving facts.
Yeah. Because actually I want to say Watchmen and then the other show that we did, where the magic, I forgot what it was, but it was an HBO show that came after Watchmen. With the magic. Lovecraft Country, yeah.
Right.
So I feel like both shows have done a great job of bringing the Tulsa massacre back into the forefront, getting new generations talking about it, getting the news, getting social media talking about it.
And have people doing their research, because there's hundreds of Tulsas all around. There's probably 2 Tulsas here in Atlanta alone.
Right.
Well, one in Atlanta and one in Gwinnett, the outskirts of Atlanta, North Atlanta.
And it wasn't Rosebud, the movie Rosebud. That was based on something.
Tulsa, I think.
Was it based on Tulsa, the Tulsa one as well?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, so they did a really good job. Even watching it again, it's kind of sad because it's like, dang, it was such a good show, and I would love to have seen what was going to happen next. But at the same time, they decided it's one and done, and you got to respect them for it. But it would have, I'm like, they can bring it back today, several years later, and we'll still be excited for it. So. All right, well, let's get into it. It starts off, we see a lady, she's taking, something. We don't know exactly what it is, and then it turns out it's semen. It's Adrian Veidt's semen, and she actually injects herself with it. And I like how she, replaces it with lotion. What are your thoughts when watching her do this? What did you think she was doing this for?
Well, from my understanding, she was doing it to have a baby by Adrian Veidt. We know he's the world's smartest man. He made his own millions. He's self-made, although he was a product of money.
Yeah.
But he said he gave his fortune away, everything he inherited. Like she said when she did it, she's not going to be a worker forever, a slave forever. And her daughter's not going to be a slave. Her kid.
Yeah, it kind of was like she was doing it like she knew that he wouldn't want it, because she was kind of like, fuck you, when she did it, screw you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess she felt like, hey, if I have the smartest man's baby, that baby's going to be super smart as well, which kind of goes into genetics and nature versus nurture. Does it really work like that? Just because he was smart, does it make her smart? Or did she was told, hey, your dad's a genius, so that means you're a genius? Was it just told to her and she heard it enough that I'm a genius and she...
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that it is genetics, but if you're hearing that over and over, this is what your father has done, which the mother knows everything. She was working there, so she's seen the little squid thing, activities he did, and she knows exactly who he is. So I think both have a lot to play in it, because if I heard something like my father being a football player, NFL football player, or let's say LeBron's son, Bronny, and the other son, I don't know the other one name. But, they're playing, they know their father is one of the greatest. So they're going to try to follow in his footsteps. They think it's genetics, which, they're both short. So they're not as tall as LeBron. But, their game is almost his, their game has been perfected. So
at the same time, it could just be a product of your environment,
right.
or you've been told it all your life. So, I've been told I'm smart all my life, so I'm smart. You're gonna achieve. You're gonna go for that goal. So
yeah.
The next scene we pretty much see Lady True. It's a younger Lady True, and she's going to Adrian's office. So we see it's in the middle of nowhere in the snow, and she tells him yo, I know who you are. I know what you did. I know you killed 3 million people with your squid. And that's when Adrian, he starts talking to her. He's like, first he denies it, and then he's like, well, you know what? Without that constant reminder, well, he says he does it for the good, and also having the squid come down. He says without that constant reminder that there is an otherworldly being, then humans would still just end up fighting and causing war and making nuclear weapons. So they need to see every once in a blue moon the squid fall down, because if not, they'll just get comfortable and go back to all their bad behavior. what did you think of what he was saying, and do you agree?
I do agree. I mean, you spoke about about something else. We were talking about people. I said people are going to be people. And we were talking about making a community, building a community, and we talk about all these movies where I think we were watching The Dome.
Yeah, Under the Dome. Yeah,
Under the Dome. And I said people are going to be people. When you put people together, it don't matter how good the environment start off. Everyone wants to be the leader of the community. Next thing you know, they're going to start doing ranks. They're going to start having the people who's, doing the political things, the governor, the mayor, whatever they do. Then they're going to have the workers. And this is going to be a classic thing. No matter what environment you put people in, it's always going to be the same thing. It may start off as a good thing, but pretty soon you're going to have fighting amongst each other. Like, why you get to call the shots? I'm smarter than you. I think I should be calling the shots. Or are you going to continue being the mayor since we started off like that? I think we should have an election. We should have a runoff. Give everybody a turn.
Right.
So, I mean, people are going to be people. Everybody wants to have the ultimate power, and that's why there's always wars. We want to get more. Yeah, we have the resources right here, but you know what? In about 200 years, this resource is going to get a little low. So let's go ahead and attack this country right next to us right now.
For their resources.
To make sure that the survival of us is going to be greater.
So. And they sort of talk about power a little bit later on, and I want to get into my thoughts on it as well. But another thing here with Lady True and Adrian talking, she just point blank asked them, like, hey, I need you to loan me $42 billion. And because I'm your daughter, I'm just a genius, just like you. I can stop the war. I can stop all these violence, and I can get rid of all weapons. And Adrian tells her, which you kind of just brought up, hey, I grew up super rich from a super rich household, and I gave all my inheritance away because I wanted to prove that I can achieve anything I wanted starting from nothing. And he says, and that's what I'm recommending to you. And at the time, I thought that was great, but then I started thinking about what Adrian just said, and I think that's a problem with privilege. Sometimes you don't even know you're privileged, and he's still privileged, even if he gave all his inheritance away. Dude, you grew up in a rich family, so you already have the privilege and knowledge and the tools to be able to make something out of nothing.
You already have the resources.
You already have the resources, so you're still, even though you think you're starting from nothing,
you
you're
gave
not.
your stuff away after your parents died, but did they die after college?
Yeah, did they die after? So did you get all that good education? Did you get to see and hang around and speak with people with money and power and knowledge?
The connections.
Yeah. So and I'm not faulting him, and I'm not saying he's not smart. I'm not saying his success isn't a part of him. He didn't get to where he got to on his own. He did. But I'm also saying, dude, you still didn't start with nothing, even though you might have think you did. And that's all.
Yeah, you started with a lot more than probably 98% of the world. Not just United States, but of the world. You started with way more. Right.
Money is not the only resource, and it's not the only thing that can give you privilege or power or something a step over the next person. There's a lot of other positives and things of that sort, or resources other than money. So they kind of had that conversation, and he tells her, hey, I'm never going to call you daughter. And over time, we saw him over these season killing his clones or whatever that they are, making them. And we finally see the message that it says, save me, daughter. Even though he told her, I will never call you my daughter because your mom, that little thief, when she said my mom was on your janitorial staff. So that's probably why you didn't know her. And he's like, that's not all she was. She was a thief too. And I really liked him saying that. But he said, I'll never call you daughter. But here he is. He's so desperate to get off Europa that, he asked to be saved.
He humbled himself.
Yeah, he humbled himself, which she said. But he's immediately put in that cryopreservation, and he's like that gold statue that we've been seeing throughout the season as well. How long do you think he was preserved like that?
Probably a couple of months.
Okay.
Probably a couple of months. However long it took him to get off the planet until the time she defrosted him or did whatever she done.
Right.
Because he was a statue for a good part of the season.
Yeah. And And not only that, we don't know how long he was on Europa either. He's been gone for a long time because remember when he was like, wait, Reagan's still president?
Well, we know that he was on Europa at least 10 years.
Right.
At least 10 years.
Oh, yeah, because that's when Dr. Manhattan's sitting, when he met. So he's been gone for 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's say she had him for a year. You know, we know he was at least gone 9 years. Mm-hmm. You know, somewhere in there. And that's a long time to really be by yourself. And as you can see, he created a person because he said he wanted a worthy opponent.
Right.
You know, so he could feel alive.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what we were saying about people, about humans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we need that. It's always going to be a power struggle within your circle, within yourself. And I mean, you see it every day. You see it when it comes to these entertainers. Selena, how she was killed by her assistant, her manager, or whatever. And a lot of other celebrities, rappers, actors, who was, you know, murdered, or they family tried to set them up, or different things like that.
Somebody that should have been a friend or an ally.
It's always somebody super close to you. Mm-hmm. And things that we look at as random, like rapper Young Dolph. You know, he passed away. We thought it was a random, you know, people knew her. But if we find out that it's within his circle of friends that, you know, gave him up and, you know, set him up. So there's always going to be a power struggle when it comes to people. And people always, especially somebody like Adrian Veidt, who wants a mental spar. Mm-hmm. You know, he needs that. He needs his mental stimulation. His mind stimulated, so he wants to create a worthy opponent, so he could feel like, okay, this person is worthy, but I'm gonna prove that I'm better.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like if you're playing a board game or playing any game. If you're playing against a kid and you win, you're not gonna be like, "Yeah, I won," you know. And that's kind of what it was like for him on Europa. But then now he's playing a chess master. And he's like, okay, I'm actually playing someone that's good, maybe even as good as me, but I'm going to prove that I'm better. So I like that, even though I think he immediately knew that his daughter was crazy. Like when she, you know, they defrost him and everything like that. And he tells her, I mean, she tells him, hey, I brought you here so you can see someone that started from nothing and achieved everything.
I think he knew his daughter was crazy when she came to him and said that I want to steal his power. Yeah. Because he's tried before. He's tried it before. Mm-hmm. And so he already knows that, hey, what if I would have got that power back then? If I would have got it, the things I would have done with it. Yeah, I say I want to, you know, keep wars or stop wars, keep countries working together and everything, allies. But, I mean, I would have had people bending down at my feet. Now, so he probably knows how much discipline it took him to be humble and keep it from letting everybody know who he was. Like, I'm the one who stopped the wars and everything. Because the only people that knew were the people who were working there at the time, like Lady True's mother and the rest of the people that was there, and, you know, Dr. Manhattan and the rest of the Watchmen. Right. No one else knows, and he didn't put it out there that this is what I did. So it took a lot of discipline for him to do that, and he knows how hard it was for him not to get the accolades for it.
Yeah, because later on in the episode, he actually says, and this is where I want to talk about power, is he says, anyone who seeks the power of our God should be stopped from attaining it. And I think he thought probably originally when he was going to steal Dr. Manhattan's power, like, yo, I can do better, I can do more than what he's doing. But when I'm watching this scene and seeing Adrian say that, I had to even reflect on my own thoughts. Because sometimes when we're watching these shows, I'm like, dang, if I was Dr. Manhattan, I would have did this. But maybe me even thinking of the possibility of being Dr. Manhattan would make me not a good candidate for being Dr. Manhattan. Right. You know, because even though I'm thinking, yes, I would do it for good, the fact that I'm already thinking about what I would do with that power means I probably would end up being corrupted, I guess. I don't know if that's how it works, but I like to think I wouldn't, but who knows?
Well, you know, the villain most of the time never know they're the villain.
Mm-hmm. True. I think for some reason I think of Megamind. Well, he actually knew he was the villain, but he liked being the villain. For some reason, when you said villain, that's like the first villain I think of.
Yeah. But there's been a lot of villains in like real life that, you know, people that we consider villains. Mm-hmm.
A lot of terrorists,
And terrorists, yeah. And for some reason, well, I'm not going to say for some reason, but they think they're doing it for the right reasons. They think they're the good guy. If I do this, I'll show them more. If, like, let's say they had the power of Dr. Manhattan. Ozymandias, let's say we gave it to him. And, he didn't want any wars to go on. He wanted to get rid of all the, what was he trying to get rid of?
Nuclear weapons.
Oh, all the nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he wanted to get rid of all that. Pretty soon, he's going to start a lockdown. You guys have to be in the house by this time. You have to do this. And you see it going on in the United States every day. Like, okay, they're upset about what just happened. They're going to come in, protest. Let's give curfews. They have to be in the house by 6. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon, what you think is free is no longer free.
Yeah.
This is not the free country that, you've been taught your whole life. Because now, we're putting all these rules, regulations. And if somebody had the power of Dr. Manhattan, they could be multiple places at one time. Uh-huh. Everywhere at one time. It could be multiple Dr. Manhattans walking around. So they can actually enforce these rules they put in place.
Right. I hearing you say that about how it could be forced, and every time I do think about if I had powers, I would just be like, well, I would just make them do this. Like, I would control them so they can be good. And that's how I think of it in my head. Like, but now hearing it out loud, you're taking away someone's free will. But
you're taking away their free will.
I just think like, well, I would just make them do this.
I think that's called martial law. So you looked it up. But what is martial law?
Martial law involves the temporary substitution of military authority for civilian rule, and is usually invoked in time of war, rebellion, or natural disaster. Yeah, so they can make and enforce laws.
Laws, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it is. I did enjoy when Adrian's talking to the guy that's working at the newspaper that we've been seeing all season, and he's like, hey, the guy says, hey, you kind of look like Adrian Veidt, or at least you're good enough to be able to go to kids' parties and play him. and he's like, well, where does everyone think he is? He's like, first of all, no one cares. It's been so long, right. Which kind of was like a hit to his ego. I know.
It was a hit to his ego.
And then second, they're like, we think he just ran off to the jungle. He's like living out there in the jungle with the animals.
And one thing Ozymandias, Mr. Veidt, failed to realize is that, now you come into the time of social media and everything. So things that would have lasted, let's say if there was no social media or anything, yeah, people would still be wondering, that would still be the talk of the town. But information travels so fast now. Mm-hmm. You've been gone for all that time, over 10 years or over 7 years. Now, if you disappear for over a year, somebody may say, hey, whatever happened to so-and-so? Right. I haven't seen a movie or anything from them.
You just forget.
Heard from them. Because you forget, because there's so many things happening. And now that we have the world in the palm of our hand, we're seeing everything. We're seeing what happened in this country. We're seeing what happened in this state. Mm-hmm. We're seeing what's happening in our state. Yeah. Things that we weren't able to see before. So what's news today may not be news tomorrow.
Right.
Like, if you think about it, in the past couple of months or in the past year or two, we're doing this last podcast, later than the rest of them. So the Will Smith thing happened. Mm-hmm. They talked about that for like 2 weeks, and that was like a long time.
That was abnormal for this day and age.
We thought they would be finished talking about it within the first 2 days. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, something else is going to happen. This is going to be over. But then it stretched, went longer. And that's not normal for these days and time. Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking, when I was a kid, the Bill Clinton Monica Lewinsky scandal was so big, and I felt like they talked about it like my whole 5th grade year. Like, that's all I heard. And then like now, a couple years ago with Trump and that lady that he had the affair with or whatever, it's like it was in the news. I mean, it was in the news for a little bit, but it was not as big as like in the 90s when a president was caught having an affair. But maybe Bill's affair was while he was in office and Trump's was not. But I just think of those two stories and how different they are now.
Right, because people don't have time to focus on just one thing now. Mm-hmm. And that could be a gift and a curse, because things like, social justice and stuff like that.
Right.
These are things that you will want to stick around a little longer. You will want to talk about a little longer when something happened. But right now, that's just like everything else. I mean, we bring it up, and the next day somebody else brings something else up, and then they send Kanye. Mm-hmm. The government will pay Kanye. Kanye, do us a favor, like they used to say Michael Jackson.
Right.
Michael Jackson, we need a favor. We need you to jack off another kid, like Dave Chappelle said. But now they saying Kanye, we need a favor. We need you to Kanye. And next thing you know, whatever we had going on, our plans, our mindset is over. We're focused on the next thing.
So we get to the big stage, the stage where King and Lori and everybody's there, and we find out Looking Glass is actually undercover, posing as one of the 7 Cavalry, and he lets Lori know, hey, be chill, be cool, give me a minute, I'm going to try to get us out of here.
I want to say something about Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm. Looking Glass.
And his reason for being undercover is bullshit. Looking Glass set up Angela. He said Angela. I was about to call her by her her superhero name, her cut. But he set her up, and the only reason he's undercover, he's mad now because even after he did that, they went in there to kill him. Mm-hmm. So let's say that they didn't go and kill him. Would he have been a part of them for real? Because he was already. If you set up Angela, that means you're already on their side. So did you just feel like you were betrayed? That they had you betray somebody, and then they like, okay, he know too much. Let's take him out.
Well, I wouldn't say that he didn't betray Angela for the White Cavalry. He did that for Lori.
No, he did it for White Cavalry. He said it. He said they asked me to do what I did to Angela, and then they came and tried to kill me.
Okay. So then Angela comes in and she tries to stop everything, and she's telling King, like, yo, do not do this because Lady True told me an hour ago what you're doing. Meaning if Lady True knows, she wants you to do this because she knows something's bad's going to happen. Like whatever you're expecting, or you're not expecting something that Lady True's doing. She's a variable that you did not consider. Do not do this.
Yeah.
And did you agree with Angela? Did you know at that point, like, yes, she's right, he should listen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we already knew that Lady True had something planned. Mm-hmm. And we already knew that Senator King was a fucking dumbass.
Right.
I mean, every plan he had was just like we had the 7th Cavalry try to kidnap him. Mm-hmm. I mean, you stupid. Right. I mean, there's not too many. I mean, those brain cells just wasn't clicking.
Right. Not at all.
Because he never thought about the second step. Like, what happened if this happened? What happened if this happened? Like the cavalry member got shot in the head and now he had a bum on him. I mean, he just hasn't thought anything out completely. Mm-hmm. Only thing they know is they're the victim.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all they know.
He's just a victim of his skin color.
Mm-hmm. So once King gets in the machine, after he's in the machine, Lady True shows up, and then that's when she's full evil, and she opens up the machine chamber and she goes, oh, see, he didn't consider he missed one step, which would make him blow up. But at the same time, it seems like King would have did some trial runs. Like, did he not put an animal or even one of his people that's willing to sacrifice themselves in the machine to see?
I mean, you gotta understand, he's just a politician.
Yeah.
He's not a scientist.
Right.
It doesn't even like he had a scientist with him.
Yeah. Yep. Well, she starts reading out, after the blood and guts come out, I love this, she starts reading out Will's letter to them. And he's pretty much, it's an FU letter. Y'all racist, y'all this, y'all homophobic, y'all ain't no good. In what's it called? Jane Crawford, interrupts her and was like, yo, just kill us. Like, you get on with it. You're going to do it anyways. We don't want to hear this letter.
Which, when he said that, or when she said that, I'm sorry, you look at the faces of the people around her and you realize they're not about that life anymore. Yeah. Like, hold up, you speak for yourself.
Right.
Like, Jane Crawford is from Tulsa. She's staying on a countryside house, nothing but land around her. I mean, she doesn't have anything else. This is all she has right here. Mm-hmm. Is this victim card she's playing. That's it. Right. Everyone else, I mean, these are wealthy men, wealthy white men. Mm-hmm. So they feel like they're not supposed to die.
Right. Yeah. Like, hold on, this is supposed to be my life.
We're not supposed to get out smart. It's not supposed to happen.
Right.
Which, she's afraid when she's in it. Like I said, she's in it for real because this is all she has. Yeah, they're a part of it. and they believe that they're victims also. But then again, they believe that this is not supposed to happen to them.
Right.
Like, speak for yourself. Like,
We ain't ready to die.
We're not ready to die. We have too much stuff to do.
Right.
They can take you.
So we see Dr. Manhattan. He sends Lori, Adrian, Looking Glass to Adrian's office. Angela asked, hey, why didn't you send me? And he said, I don't want to be alone when I die. And that was sad.
That was sad. But going back to Jane, this lets you know, like, people says that, that everybody's not racist. Like, everybody's not racist. These people right here, I mean, they're the sweetest people I know. They're nice to me. But you can see how Jane and, what's her husband's name? Judd. You see how Judd and Jane played the long game. Mm-hmm. They got in close to him. They treated him like family. Brought him into the circle, knowing that they're part of Cyclops.
Yep.
Knowing that, they really
racist that whole time.
Don't like these people like that.
They can smile in your face. They can be your friends. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But it goes back to what I was saying about everyone thinks they're doing the right thing. They're doing the right. Like the 7th Cavalry. They thought they were the victims.
Right.
That, these people, they made us apologize for what our ancestors did or what people did years before we were born and this, that, the other, just because the color of our skin. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me you're going to get this power and now you're going to wipe out a whole group of people, a whole race of people. So they can't treat you bad anymore. So you can't feel like the victim anymore.
Mm-hmm. And when he actually said that, I'm glad you brought that up, because when he said that, like, they made us say sorry for what our ancestors did, and it's like, it shows you how many people like him miss the point. No one's asking for forgiveness of what your ancestors did. We're asking for forgiveness of what you're currently doing. What's currently actively going on. We, even if we took the slavery and everything else out of it, we can take, not even taking Jim Crow in consideration, we can take these just last 40 years of bullshit and say, you still need to apologize. So it's not even the ancestors, it's the current people living.
Yeah, it is. It's a current climate. Mm-hmm. But racism has a lot to play in it. Slavery has a lot to play in it because of the head start you were given. Like, you were given a huge, a 400-year head start in life. Mm-hmm. And when you finally acknowledge certain people, you really did acknowledge them. Like, we were free, but we didn't have the right to vote. And our vote, and when we had the right to vote, or they were given the right to vote, we were killed, hung if we showed up at a poll to vote. So you're giving them the right, but you're really not giving them the right to vote. So it was years before we were able to vote, even after that. Mm-hmm. And then when we get a chance to vote, I mean, who are we voting for? We voting for 2 of your parties. Both of these are your parties.
Yep, 2 representatives.
They both represent you, whether you know it or not.
Mm-hmm. It's like Disney and Marvel both running. Y'all the same company.
You're the same company. So I mean, they don't. Well, I don't want to say they, because I don't want to put them in that. But a lot of people don't see it from that point of view. They don't see it that, hey, I mean, are certain groups of people really free? Are we really the victim in our own country? Mm-hmm. And you can tell that they feel like it's their country because they say, go back to your country. Mm-hmm. So that's like, if you don't like it here, you go back to your country.
Right.
Hold up. You can't even got me. Right.
And this is, if this ain't my country, it ain't yours either.
No, but I'm saying the mindset of them making it, this is our country. Mm-hmm. When they say, go back to your country. Yeah. If you don't like hold up. You should like the rules here. Mm-hmm. Because you're in the same boat that we're in. You're a part of this 98% of people that has a little wealth, but still has more wealth than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, we skip ahead and we go to see John, and he's about to die, and he realizes it. And Angela goes, "Hey, where are you?" And I really love this moment because he says, "I'm with you in every moment, all together, all at once." And then he even turns and he's not blue anymore. He looks like Cal. And he says he loves her, and then he's gone. And
that was beautiful.
That was beautiful because Dr. Manhattan, he, at least in the movie, it was always hard for him to show feelings, show emotions, when he dated Lori. And we didn't really get to see him, that side of him, at least in the movie side. So it was good seeing like a loving Dr. Manhattan in the series. Like, he does have feelings. He does have emotions. But what are your thoughts when he's dead? Do you think he's dead? Or do you think, why didn't he move himself? Why didn't he save himself?
Well, we realized he did save himself. Like with the egg.
Yeah.
That he did preserve himself or preserve his powers.
Right.
I think that he didn't fully save himself and he didn't do more. Because that's what everyone is saying. Like, he could have did a lot more. Why didn't he? Mm-hmm. Like, he could have stopped racism. He could have stopped this. He could have stopped that. But by him being so smart and seeing everything all at once, he know that there's no way to stop that. As long as there's people being born daily, there's no way of stopping that.
Yeah, maybe someone else has to see it. Like, hey, I know you guys think I should have did it, but there's nothing. Goes back to that Doctor Strange. There's only one option, Joni. Or there's, in this case, he's saying there's really no options. Or he also, even though I'm kind of being a little judgy towards Dr. Manhattan, we have to remember he did not ask for this. He did not consent to this. And that's why he put his powers in the egg, because he did tell Angela, like, I would never give my powers to someone without their consent. So he had that conversation from the very first day to make sure she was fully aware of everything that she was about to take on.
Yeah, you're right.
So, in a way, could he did more, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that are kind of thrown into that hero, quote unquote, spotlight, and it's like, I didn't ask to be a hero. Like even celebrities, like, wait, you're this person's whatever, they look up to you, and it's like, wait, I'm just an actor. I'm just a rapper. Like, I didn't ask to be a hero.
I didn't ask to be a role model.
Yeah, I didn't ask to be a role model. So I kind of, in a way, I was being a little judgy towards him, but I realized this is something that was done to him against his will.
Right. And then again, it's still a different scenario because he knows there's really nothing that he could do.
Yeah, that too.
Like Adrian really knows that there's nothing that can be done. What he's doing by dropping the squids is temporary. It's just keep reminding them that, there's some squids gonna be dropped. There's still aliens out there, so
y'all chill.
We need to be together.
Right.
All our alliances need to be strong when these aliens come. But pretty soon, a couple more years, if these aliens don't come, people will get bold again.
Yep.
These are just.
I'll deal with
dropping.
them when they come, if they come.
Now I know that this right here is a little different, and this should hold people off a little longer because this time the squids were frozen. So it actually destroys some shit. Mm-hmm. So they're probably thinking like, damn, it's going to get stronger from here. They're on their way.
Right.
So this time
might give a little power, a little more.
A little power, yeah. But then again, I mean, why they have to destroy Tulsa again?
True. Well, it was only I think a 5-block radius or something.
Yeah, 5-block radius, yeah.
Well, Angela makes her way to the theater and she talks to her granddad and he tells her like, yo, this was actually Dr. Manhattan's plan. He's the one that told me to go work with Lady True. And then he tells her his origin story. And she goes like, I see that you were angry. And he goes, no, it wasn't angry. It was fear and it was hurt. And I realized you can't heal under a mask. Wounds need air. And
that was deep.
That was really deep. That whole scene was so good. Them in the theater and talking, and
because you see it time and time, like he said that he looked up to Bass Reeves, but now he understood when he got older why Bass Reeves wore a hood,
right?
Why he hid his face. And if you think about it, history repeats itself so much, time and time again. Like the reason he put the mask on is what happened to his parents. His parents was killed, the riot, his whole life. He said his whole life got turned upside down. Mm-hmm. Which I'm tired of people, living just in that moment of pain.
Yeah.
And don't realize that was just a moment of your life.
Don't let that moment define.
You can't let that moment define anything.
Yeah, easier said than done, but.
True. But you see now Angela's, she's the same way. Mm-hmm. From what happened to, a terrorist. Which was he a terrorist? Is he, his whole his family was killed. He has a scar on his face. He feels like the victim. Mm-hmm. So he feels like what he's doing is right. But now Angela, she has a character.
Yeah.
The character to try to hide her pain.
And you just see it keep repeating over and over and over.
And if they make another Watchmen, now it's going to be Topher.
Yep.
Topher family got killed by the 7th Cavalry. And at the end of the show, you see him look up at Angela's
Sister Night.
Yeah, Sister Night. And he had he just stared at it, and it looks like he had a little smile, like, oh wow, my mom is Sister Night.
I think it was shock. But
yeah, it was shock, but you could see that he's going to be the next one. Mm-hmm. You know, he's going to think that, you know, because he's in a lot of pain, and you can see it.
Yeah.
Like when Angela told him that the chief died, he said, well, don't tell my brother or sister, I want to tell him. Mm-hmm. You know, so he's dealing with a lot of stuff emotionally within himself. So I can see the next Hooded Justice or whatever he want to be, the masked guy, is going to be him.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe they'll bring Watchmen back in like 10 years or something. Well, Will says to Angela, you can't make an omelet without breaking a couple eggs. And Dr. Manhattan said she would understand what that meant when the time was right. And in this moment, she's like, I don't know what that means. Which plays further along in the episode. And then we see Adrian, Lori, and Looking Glass, and they're like, okay, good. Adrian's like, y'all can take my plane. Y'all good. We saved the day once again. And that's when Lori's like, where do you think you're going? Like, you killed 3 million people. You're not just going, I'm a police officer or FBI. You're going to jail. And Looking Glass goes in some rant about how, hey, he saved the day again, blah, blah, blah. He shouldn't be.
No, Adrian.
Or excuse me, yeah, Adrian. And that's when Looking Glass hits him over the head.
Which I call bullshit on, because if you know who Ozymandias is, mm-hmm. He is not, well, he's older now, so I'll give them a pass for that little hit on the head and he's knocked out.
Right.
But we all know that, I mean, next to Dr. Manhattan, he was like the strongest Watchman. He was the quickest, strong. When we seen him catch a bullet.
Yeah.
This episode.
Yep.
So I don't see him getting caught off guard, you know, by Looking Glass or anybody for that matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's bringing age into it because he caught a bullet.
At his age. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to have to put him in like one of those Magneto, like a special jail.
And you're going to see history repeat itself. Because if they come out with this news, like she said, and we arrest the president, yeah, fucking right. Yeah. You're not going to be able to arrest a sitting president mm-hmm. at all. Because it's going to make this country look weak as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right. There's going to be a lot of dysfunction within the system. But, like I said, it just makes the country. And then, guess what's going to happen? The war's back on. Because they're like, hold on. You telling me that they did this? You're telling me that they put together this little squid thing, that this is not even a real thing?
Yeah.
they're going to call it an attack. Because, like, damn, the United States, they attacked us. This is an attack.
Right.
So, I think Adrian Veidt was right. That is no way that you could tell the truth. There's no way they're going to allow them to tell the truth. If they arrest Adrian Veidt, guess what? He's going to be free by tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Yep, he said the world will end. And Lori's like, I keep hearing that, but nothing ever happens. But.
Yeah, man, Lori don't really have that power mm-hmm. to go after the president, because what's she going to do? Take the information to her people who works for the president? Mm-hmm. I mean, they're going to, when they try to fight this and go further, they're going to realize how small they really are.
Yeah.
On the food chain, how tiny they are. And sometimes it feels like that. When you're trying to make social change, you're trying to do the right thing, you realize how small your voice is at certain points where, yeah, you're getting information out, but you still have powerful people trying to shut you up and putting out other narratives, or let you know what you can say or can't say. Like, yeah, you can't do that. We can't allow you to do that. We can't allow you to tell the world that it was our idea to do this, because that's going to put us in a messed up situation. This is something that has to continue, has to be done. Now, I think that Adrian Veidt was already in a prison. He was in a prison that he built because he had to sit up in there. And I brought this up last podcast, I think, when I spoke about Lost, how they had to keep typing those numbers. Mm-hmm. like over and over, so he couldn't leave out of this building. That's a prison right there. So he's already built the prison. He's gonna sit in it.
Yeah, he had to be saved by his daughter in order to leave there. So he was essentially in jail for 10 years.
Well, I'm talking about before that. He's been in jail since he's let that first squid out.
Oh, when he's been keeping up with the squid.
He had to keep up with
the Squid Games.
The Squid Games. So he had to keep up with it. So he was already in prison. That's why he needed that vacation. And when he took the vacation, he realized that he was still in prison.
Yeah.
He's in the prison of his own mind, of himself.
Yeah, I like that.
So it's nothing that you could do to him. No cell you can lock him in. He's already in jail. He's already in hell. So put him back in that his room, or put him back in that building and let him keep dropping those squids.
Let him do what he do. All right. Well, while cleaning up the broken eggs, Angela notices that there's one egg left intact. She eats the egg, and just as we're about to see her essentially walk on water, it cuts out, and that is how the series ends. Do you think she was going to walk on water?
I would have loved to see it.
I would have loved to see it, but I think all signs point to yes, she would have walked on water. He ate the egg when they first met.
I don't know.
He said he could put it in the egg.
Yeah.
He left the egg. All the eggs were broken except for one. He earlier told her while the middle of war, hey, you have to watch me do this. You have to watch me standing on the pool.
Yeah.
So he didn't do all of that just to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to make you think it and then not happen. I'm going to say she walked on water.
I think eventually she probably could have, when she understood the powers that he was giving her. But just cracking the egg open and eating it, that mean you're going to instantly walk on water. So, I mean, it would have been something to see if she did. Me personally, I think the first try would have been a fail. Epic fail.
Okay.
Because you see when she put her feet in the water, you don't see her foot stop. You see it kind of sink in the water a little bit before they turned it off.
Okay. Well, that is the end of the series. I wish they would have came with another season. You never know. It's never too late.
It's never too late.
But
years later, and somebody else going to pick it up. Mm-hmm. Somebody else going to put
or
another
different
part to
story.
It.
Different
story. It could be a Topher story.
Mm-hmm.
While he's older, because I mean he is older now.
Right. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. As always, if you like to be part of the podcast or ever leave us any feedback or anything like that, you could do that at host@theverdictsin.com or reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter @theverdictsin. Until then, I'm Nicole.
I'm Gary.
Bye.